All right. Peace, Moors. Peace to everybody that's here. You're now tuned in to Moors in America. Today we will be talking about the elusive topic of the new Moors. Some of you may have heard this before. Matter of fact, a lot of you have probably heard this before. You may not know where it comes from, but we're going to discuss all of that. So I just want to ask that everybody that's here to check like and share button for me. Help to spread this out there. This is grown from a grassroots level. All right. That means that we need you to hit that like and share button. Help spread it. Help get it out there. All right. So everybody that's watching, once again, just hit the like and the share button. Okay. Help to spread this out there. All right. And so that's all that I'm asking for is just everybody hit like, hit share. We're going to talk about the new Moors. We're going to talk about what this is really about. All of the people that are waking up realizing that they're Moors. That's what we're discussing today. And we're going to go in depth onto it, give some understanding what this is really about. All right. And that's what we're doing here. So we're going to get started right now. We're not going to take a long time. It's on. Peace, everybody.
I am not a Negro, black, colored, African American. I'm a Moorish American. Peace.
Yeah. Hey, 5 on the right, 2 on the left, man. You know what time it is. Yo, we just Moors in America, soared through the shores and endured criminal acts of war on our character. 7 years after the 4th score, no reward. Shout out to the most courageous, they was jumping over barriers. Where does that compare to you? We come from a place where you scared to visit our area. We come from a place where it's scary for good Samaritans. Heavy luggage we carrying, babies having babies. It's crazy being American. Praise the one and only Allah, there's no comparison. La ilaha illa Allah, body and buried in. Laughing at you clowns like ha-ha, dodging the Nephilim. Conquer lower self with the high, follow your regimen. Way before they came we were gods and now we specimen. Tried to take the light from our eyes, thank God for Edison. Then they put the wool on our eyes, it's so embarrassing. Now we travel frequently, we should invest in Sheraton. All of us got gold on our bodies whenever we stepping in. Screaming Ramadan, Mubarak, training the flesh again. Wishing we could move as a unit just like the Mexicans. Dodging all the foods with estrogen, synthetic medicines. All sin isn't devilish. Sometimes the decisions that you make come for a better gift. Sometimes when you sin is to relate to all your brethren. Heavenly gates all in our face, we the champions. We live in the sky, we see the angels on the chariots. Waiting on the $20 bill, facing Harriet. I bet you I'ma carry it. I'm in love with music to the point I wanna marry it. But my love for people is greater, so I write messages. Largest spending power, but we still sit at a deficit. Living amongst prejudice, even at our residence. Moors in America, flourishing, excellent. Let's buy up some neighborhoods and groom our own president. Yeah. And I come to you today with all intentions of spreading love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Okay, peace, everybody. So here we go. We're getting things up and running right now. What I want you to do, I know I asked this already, but I just want everybody watching this to hit like and share. I think it's of the utmost importance that we spread this understanding. We're going to be bringing light into the darkness. And this is going to help a lot of people out there. So that's all I'm asking is that everybody watching this hit that like and share button. Okay. And once again, as I said before, we will be talking about the topic, the elusive topic, dealing with the new Moors. Right now, for those don't um that don't know what I'm talking about, never heard of this before, don't worry. We're gonna discuss that. We're gonna make some sense out of that for you. Okay. Um, Let me actually, Islam, peace to everybody that's here. Let me actually share something with you just to bring some clarity to this briefly, right? Okay, so what you see up here on the screen, that's the Moors in America website. Make sure you go to moorsinamerica.com. Uh, Save that website, bookmark it, save it. Make sure that you are on moorsinamerica.com. There's an article on there that says Hadiths and Prophecies of Moorish American Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Okay. Now, one of these oral statements from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and most of these oral statements, I believe, are well researched, and they're coming from people who actually were around Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Some were officials in the Moorish Science Temple of America, and so they know what they're talking about. And they're sharing some of the things that the Prophet shared with them that they remembered and felt were important, for Moors to know. And so one of these statements says, we go up here to number 107. It says, Brother O. Payton-Bey of Temple 4 and 25 said that the Holy Prophet said, there are going to be new Moors that are going to come in with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing, that are going to take you old Moors, seat you in the back, and carry out my law. And then it gives a description, just a brief understanding of what that's talking about, saying he was talking about new members of the Moorish Science Temple of America that would come into the temple with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing, and who would carry out the Holy Prophet's law. Now, to put this in the proper perspective, you have to know that the Moorish Science Temple of America's membership dwindled down so low. It dwindled down so low to a point where it was as if it had disappeared from the planet. It was like the temple didn't exist anymore. Now, I'm not saying that the temple actually didn't exist, but I'm just making a point that membership had dwindled down so low that you didn't have Moors in the temple anymore. All right. And I'm saying this because the Moors who shared this, many of them had the belief that this movement is real, and it didn't matter how things looked. It didn't matter how, many people left the temple. It didn't matter that the prophet wasn't being discussed in our communities, that he wasn't being taught about to the Moors, wasn't being taught about in the schools, not even in the schools where the majority of the people look like us. It was like he never existed. They tried to wipe him off the face of the earth. All right. But they believed that the prophet was real, and they held to it. And they held on to the Quran, the divine constitution, the other literature that the prophet created for us, because they believed it was real, right? And they cherished it. And that's why we still have these statements. That's why we still have the laws that the prophet created, and all of these things, is because there were a few that held strong, that held fast, that stayed faithful. And they made sure that we would all know about this. And so, for us Moors, it is important to go back at least a little bit, go back into history, know what's going on, have an idea of what this movement is really about. And so when you look at that statement, I was just trying to put that in a proper perspective so we know what's going on here. It was being discussed that some of the Moors, some of the members, talked to the prophet, and he's letting them know that there are going to be younger Moors, there's going to be new Moors, new generation, that are actually going to come into the temple with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing. And they're going to take the old Moors, seat them in the back, and carry out the prophet's law, right? And I want to talk about this because you'll have people who waking up now and they identify as Moorish, they identify as Moors, or they even, freestyling, making up their own thing. They identify as Washita Moors and all of these other things, right? And they're not trying to come into the temple and carry out the prophet's law. but they still want to consider themselves new Moors. Okay. And so I see the questions in the chat. Please don't think that I don't see you. Peace and love, brother. That's a good brother right there. Don't think that I don't see you. I see what everyone's saying in the chat, and I will definitely circle back around and get to your questions. So don't go anywhere. I see you too, Hassan, Wingate, Andre, Amexum Bay, Kiera, Peace, Samad. I see you all. Don't go anywhere. So we will circle back around. If I don't get to your question right away, I'll come back to you. All right. So everybody stay here. And also while you're here, make sure you hit that like and share. All right. Peace. I see you out there. Okay. Duck and no. What is that? Duck and no Skittles. I see you. Peace. Peace, sister. So don't go anywhere. Um, we will come back to you. If you put a question in the chat, we will come back to you. Okay, understood? All right, so here we go. Also, that website that's up here right now, that's moorsinamerica.com. Make sure you save that website, bookmark it, whatever you have to do. If you've never seen this thing that I was reading from about the oral statements of the prophets, the prophet Noble Drew Ali, make sure you go back and subscribe to that website, man. I need some water over here. Excuse me. So here we go. Why are we discussing the new Moors? So we see people all the time. It's beautiful. So-called black people, so-called African Americans, so-called Latinos are waking up every day realizing that they're Moors, even taking up their national headdress, fez and turban, right? Proud. And then we even have some who have a lot to say, right? They're saying they're the new Moors. They heard this prophecy. They heard this oral statement. And they're claiming that they're the new Moors. So let's talk about this. Now, I want to share something with you. Bear with me. We're going to switch this up. I'm going to show you something else, Moors. Once again, everybody that's here, make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube. Even if you're watching this on Facebook, make sure that you also subscribe to the Moorish America YouTube channel. And if you are subscribed on YouTube, make sure that you are also liking, following the Moorish America page on Facebook. We're on Instagram and Twitter as well. This is the only platform that strictly deals with the Moorish American paradigm. And then we're coming from the perspective of the originator, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of our nation. So what you're seeing up here on the screen, this is the Facebook group. We also have a Facebook group. So look, like that page. You see that 46,000 followers? Let's get that number up. Like that page on Facebook. And then also put in a request to join the group, the Moors in America group. Okay? Make sure that you are also in this group for Moors in America. It'll say Moors in America, Moorish Americans. You could probably just type that in the search bar on Facebook, but make sure you're in this group. So as we discuss the new Moors, I want to share some of the feedback, some of the discussions that we see online in the Facebook group, because it relates to this topic. And I think this discussion will help a lot of us come away with a greater understanding. And once again, for the people in the chat, I see you. We're going to come back to your questions. Just let me put this up on the screen just for example. So I see you. We will get to your question. Don't go anywhere. While you're waiting on us to get to your question, make sure you hit like and share. You know what? Another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put in the chat the StreamYard link. I'm going to put that in the chat briefly so that people who want to join in on this discussion, want to chime in, you'll be able to. But that link will be in the chat. Matter of fact, I'll go on and throw it in there now. So that's in there on Facebook and YouTube. For the people watching, you can click that StreamYard link to join in on this discussion. There's a few things that need to be said. So when you go to the Facebook group, right, which is great, we can all share and learn together. You see the video playing right now, but scrolling down, I just want to share it because we have somebody who's sharing his thoughts, and this is what you'll see a lot of people say sometimes. And I get the sentiment where he's coming from, but I want to talk about this. So you'll see it says, "What land does any MSTA, any Moorish Science Temple of America, own? What tangible resources are provided? Can I learn trades to sustain a family, to break generational curses with the Moorish Science Temple of America?" Good questions. I mean, I get it. What can they do for me? What does it have? Where's the land? What resources can they provide? Can I learn trades? Right? Great questions. Great questions. And just I get that sentiment. What's the point? Why am I coming in? We see one of the sheiks, brother Sheikh Rasaidi El, responding to this, saying that there are temples that actually own land. Prince George's County, Virginia, owns over 250 acres of land. And some more information in here. And I'm not gonna read this whole thing, but just want to go through some of the comments as they relate to this topic. And the brother's just saying, he wasn't pleased with that response. And the sheik asked him, "Are you in a temple? And who's your national leader?" The reason he asked that question is because this person's here asking, okay, what does the temple have? What can the temple do for me? What resources are there? What can it do for me? And so the response was, in addition to saying, yeah, there are temples that have land and things like that, but what temple are you in? Right? Because in reality, you should be asking that to the leadership where you're at. Okay. And so like I said, I'm not going to read all these responses. There were some things I wanted to read to you guys and speak about in particular. Right. And so there's just some back and forth going on. And I want to read the response I had because, for the most part, right, this, posts like that are saying, what's the temple got for me? What can it do for me? While I get the sentiment, it's just stating the problems, right? And I think it's important that we all see this because the Moorish Science Temple of America is comprised, there's not like the Moorish Science Temple of America for the most part is comprised of real people, regular people, like me, for example, right? Real people, they have responsibilities, wife, children, work, all of these responsibilities that I have to take care of, right? And that's what the temple's made of, regular people. And so the last thing we need is somebody who's arrogant, who's coming in asking, where are all the boats? Where the planes at? Where the buildings? Where's the land? Where's these training programs? Like it's not super obvious, like it's not obvious as hell that we don't have those things, and we won't have those things if we don't work together to attain them, right? To obtain it, right? How can you ask where the lands, where's the resources that the Moorish Science Temple of America owns when you just heard about it? It's not like you've been hearing about it all your life. More than likely, the majority of you can probably relate to me. You didn't grow up with this. You probably didn't hear about it until you were an adult. Most of you probably didn't even know about this 10 years ago. It's been covered up. It's been hidden. It's been nearly obliterated to the point where it didn't exist. That's the attack that it came under, to the point where the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's name couldn't even be uttered in the school system, in the Black history, supposed to be teaching our history, Black history programs. No mention of any of this. It's like it didn't take place, even though he had a huge impact in a short amount of time, right? Just like the brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, huge impact, even at the international level, right? But these people want to come and pour salt in the wound, acting like it's supposed to be some multi-billion-dollar entity with Moors on deck to cater to all your needs. What you need? What do you need? You need babysitters. What you need? You need your own schools for your children. Okay, we got that. We got that. We got the grocery stores. We got the land. We got all of that. Like, where? How do we have that? Where's it coming from? Right. So in reality, if you identify as a Moor and you're not willing to come in and help build up the Moorish Science Temple of America, you're part of the problem. At the end of the day, if you're not going to be realistic about the fact that this stuff was covered up, the fact that as soon as the Prophet Noble Drew Ali made the transition, which you would say died in 1929, as soon as that happened, you had splintering of this organization. You had people running in different directions, people claiming to be the prophet reincarnated, people claiming that they're the leader. Come over here, come with us. Changing up the name of the organization, doing their own thing, right? And then you had people who were 100% on deck with it while he was here. And after he made the transition, they never said another word about him. Prominent people, business owners, bank owners, doctors, lawyers. I mean this like for real. Prominent, representatives in Congress, all types of people who I'm not even saying that they weren't good people, but they never mentioned him. They allowed him to be covered up. Okay? That's the truth of the matter. This is what we're dealing with. And the fact that we are even here today, the fact that this channel has as many subscribers as it does, the fact that it's a strictly Moorish American YouTube channel that strictly caters to the Moorish American paradigm, and somehow, some way, we have over, going to the channel right now, let me see, how many subscribers do we have now? While I do this, make sure if you're not subscribed to Moorish in America that you are now. So 48.6K subscribers, nearly 50,000 subscribers. We are strictly, this is it. We're not over here talking about all these other things, Moorish dialogue, the importance of meditation, right? It's strictly Moorish American to the core. Okay, we're not talking about trending topics. Oh yeah, y'all want to hear about Sexy Red? Let's talk about Sexy Red. Let's go to Pound Town. Like we're not doing that. It's strictly Moorish American. Okay, and then it's like this. I don't care if you don't like this dude that I'm talking to or this female that I'm talking to. If it's Moorish American, and I think it's of possibly of importance for Moorish Americans, we're gonna do it. If the people are Moorish American, even excuse me, are Asiatic, even if they don't identify as Moorish American, if it's important to us, we're gonna talk about it. Who else is talking about the importance of fatherhood, the sacredness of the Moorish family, right? And talking to a real Moorish American brother about it. Okay. So it's strictly Moorish American, and we still have nearly 50,000 subscribers, right? That's just letting you know that we are on the rise, for real. We on the rise. Okay. That's the only way that this is happening, because it's deemed so by Allah. Why is the Facebook page able to have 24,000 likes, 46,000 followers, and growing? And like I said, it's strictly Moorish. You're not gonna see me on here talking about, all that silly, goofy stuff that is stupid to me. It does that stuff's not important. So I'm not gonna dumb it down to talk about this stuff because it's trending. I could care less what's trending. It's strictly Moorish American. Okay, unapologetically. Even to the point where if some Moors want to get angry because I'm not up here talking about how we can get over on child support and all that, and get out of parking tickets and stupid stuff like that, is not helping anybody. I don't care. We strictly Moorish American. We're dealing with real topics, things that apply to us, right, from our perspective. Only channel out there that is like that. I'm not knocking any other Moorish platforms. I'm just saying this is it right here. Unapologetically Moorish. Moorish is hell, or more, I shouldn't say as hell, Moorish as heaven. It's strictly Moorish. I'm only saying this because the fact that it's growing like this lets you know that the audience is out there. We are rising up. It doesn't matter if you're in North Dakota, if you're in Iowa, you could be in New Hampshire. There's some Moors there. Now, it may not be a lot because there's not a lot of people in those states, but they are there. They're all over. There's Moors in London. There's Moors in Trinidad, I mean people that identify as Moorish American, Moorish Trinidadian, whatever. It's growing. It's real like that. This was all this was all spoken of by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He believed it. He knew this was going to happen. He knew this nearly 100 years ago. Okay? So for us, it's not a joke. This is very real. Soon you will all know that this is real, right? So people that are coming in here and all they're doing is stating problems, but they're not willing to roll up their sleeves, come in and help build up the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Moorish Divine and National Movement. You're part of the problem. You might think it sounds smart to say, oh, we're the builders. Like we didn't all think that. You ain't saying nothing that we don't all know. You're not smart. You're not clever. You're not funny, right? All you're showing is that you one of these, not new Moors, you one of these new people, the microwave generation. You want everything done for you. You want it now, like it's a video game. That's not how it works. So if you're not willing to come in and put in the work to help it realize its potential, why are you even here? Why are you even putting the L or the Bay on your name? Right? That's not how it flies over here. We need people that's willing to do the work. Now, in light of this, if you go back in time to another time in history, back in the 1920s, which I do talk about this often, because if you go back into this time where the prophet was actually here on the scene, you will see a people who knew that if they didn't build it, nobody was going to build it for them. And this also is why the prophet was able to get things up and running so quickly. He's like, look, we need our own grocery stores. These people knew that if they didn't build their own grocery stores, they wouldn't have it. And if they didn't trade and make products for themselves, they might not have it. Nobody was going to do it for them. They had dignity. The way that they dressed themselves, they didn't go outside in their pajamas. People do that now. The women wouldn't have been outside wearing the bonnet on their head because that's something that you should do in the house, right? If they had their head covered, right, they have something that you wear outside on. Same way with the men. They weren't going to be sagging their pants because that's crazy, right? Everybody dressed respectable just to go outside. They would do stuff like that just to go to the grocery store. And then some of us know this because you grew up in households where your parents and people had dignity and respect. They're like, don't go outside like that, you know? And so the people also knew that if they didn't build it, it wasn't going to happen. And so now you have people that instead of thinking, man, this movement got, attacked, it fell to almost to the point where it disappeared. I'm not going to come in here expecting everything to be done for me and I never even heard about this thing before. You're going to come in knowing that you got to do some work. But people now, these new people, I don't even know what you call it, these new folks, they coming in here. Where them houses? Where the land? Where's the Moorish banks? Where's the, for real? Why are you even playing pretend? That's not a new Moor, by the way. That's one of these new people. That's not a new Moor because a new Moor knows that they have to come and build all of this or it's never going to happen. A while back, I was at this event with my Moabitess, my wife. She's got her turban on. I got my fez on. I'm talking to a brother and, he's letting us know he's a Moor too. And as I'm talking to the brother, he immediately starts, and he's older than me. He immediately starts, being all negative, talking about, because I'm letting him know we got a temple here. We need people to come in and help us build this up. And he's all negative, about the temple, and it's all gone. The temple got infiltrated. It's falling apart for this. It'll never work. He's listing all these reasons why it won't work. And, I'm trying to shut that stuff down, but at the same time, same way the stuff he's saying ain't having no sway on me. He can't influence me, right? I know I can't tell his old, this old dude nothing. So, I'm being respectful, but at the same time, it's like, dude, like if you really knew how I felt, you wouldn't say none of this because I'm looking at you like you're a loser. You're the older generation and you failed. You did nothing about this. Don't tell me you're a Moor. What good does it do? You dropped the ball. I can see if you're more and you fighting and you gonna keep fighting. You're not trying to pass no burden down to your children and grandchildren. But on the other hand, as I'm talking to the brother, and he's giving all these reasons why, basically reasons why he ain't trying to help. That's all I see. Just giving excuses why he ain't gonna help us build the Moorish community. He ain't gonna help us build the Moorish school, the Moorish nothing, because it's over. The white man already done killed us. We might as well just bury ourselves in our grave. This is what I'm hearing while he talking, being all negative, how they infiltrated it and they did this and that, and it's over. It's like you failed. You failed and you passed down shame and embarrassment to the next generation, to the young and the yet unborn. That's it. And so that's why I'm putting this call out here and trying to put this in a proper perspective, especially if anybody out there around anywhere near my age group, if you're in your 30s, if you're in your 40s, you need to come on and pull your pull your pants up. Don't try to come anywhere around there sagging your pants. That's homosexual prison culture. Get out of here with that mess. Pull your pants up, dress like a man or a woman if you're a woman, right? No confusion around. Don't bring that confusion stuff around here either. That's from Rome, right? Come on in and get to work. Stop trying to pass the buck. Stop trying to pass the responsibility. It's over. Ain't nothing we could do. It's so bad. We just gonna quit. We just gonna pass it on to the children and the grandchildren, right? Pass it on to a generation that ain't even born yet. Like, have some respect, have some dignity. You got outdone by these people in the 1920s who knew that they had to work and to build it, or nobody was going to do it. So now it's time to step up. Like, we're not trying to look backwards and talk about the past all the time. That's not why this was up there, right? This is up there to make a point. Okay? So we're not trying to, pass the responsibility down while you go and lay down and play some video games. It's time to get to work. And so I say this because especially if you claim to be a Moor, and you're not going to come and help build this Moorish community, help acquire this Moorish land to do what we need to do, you might as well give it on up. Forget trying to claim to be a Moor. What do you think? Somebody is required to do this for you? But yet you want to claim to have your own nation? No, that's not how it works, right? So you have to be willing to put in some work, to get to work, and be willing to do the work to build what you need. You can't put it off on anyone else. I did want to share this though, because going back to that same or similar dialogue, the same brother was complaining, just saying that he sees why people would rather listen to the renegades that teach the sovereign citizen BS, right? And he's, I just want to say that, look, there is an element out there that is appealing to people because they appear to be active, right? They appear to be active. And what do they promote? They promote, you know, arguing with the police, telling them you don't need a license. They promote, um, you know, going and squatting in houses and doing, silly things. It's not things that are not sustainable, right? You can't tell your grandma to go and do that stuff, right? You can't, if you're smart, you're not going to have children in some type of situation where you might get, arrested or worse because you're trying to stand on that stuff, which is shaky. So it's not sustainable, which means it's not a way to build a nation. So you have people out there doing that. You have that element. But I'm going to tell you something, right? All of that is a psyop. When you see people promoting and pushing that, I don't care if they seem charismatic, they sound like they know what they're talking about. All they're doing is trying to make the movement look like it's a joke and unreal. That's their job. That's what they get paid to do. They're out there to help you guys get yourselves in legal trouble, legal issues. People who never even been to prison before now have a felony because got caught up with the Moors. They're trying to give this whole divine and national movement a bad look. When if you knew anything about the prophet and the Moorish Science Temple of America, you would immediately know to stay away from any of that stuff, right? There's a reason why we are law-abiding citizens. Let's put this in another perspective. Say you move overseas. Say you go to live in Jamaica. Say you go to live in Dominican Republic, or say you go live in France, London, in Ghana, Nigeria, any other country in the world, Japan, wherever you go in the world, if you go over there with the intent to not abide by their laws, what do you think is going to happen? Now, a civilized person doesn't even need to hear this because a civilized person knows that they have to abide by the laws regardless, right? It's just common sense. So you have an element out there that's not dealing with reality, and they're only out there to help you get yourself caught up and to make the movement look like a joke and unreal. So, it would be wise to not even go that route, right? To not get caught up in that foolishness. Okay? But going back to this, let's go back down to this prophecy one more time. So in order to be a new Moor, I want to put this in a proper perspective. Brother O. Payton-Bey of Temple 4 and 25 said that the Holy Prophet said there are going to be new Moors that are going to come in with their eyes wide open. Come in where? They're going to come into the temple. He was from the temple. He's saying there are going to be new Moors that are going to come into the temple with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing that are going to take you old Moors, seat you in the back of the temple, and carry out my law. So he's telling these people that new members are going to come into Moorish Science Temple of America with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing, having an understanding of what the prophet actually brought, and they're going to carry out the prophet's law. Okay? He's not saying they're going to kill the old Moors. See, it just says seat them in the back. I mean, you could take that however you want. Let me show you another perspective on that. There was one brother I saw online. He was talking about the new Moors. What did he say? He said, Islam, old Moor equals companions, fuel for the fire. Why do you think they live the burnt fez so much? So he's trying to say they're gonna put the old Moors back in the fire. Like they're gonna, that's one take on it, but it doesn't say any of that. He just says he's going to seat the old Moors in the back. Like, look, we're gonna carry it out. That means if they're gonna go to the forefront and somebody else is going to go to the back, that means they're going to come in and take over leadership. It doesn't mean that they're going to, punish anybody. It doesn't say anything about that. It just says they're going to seat them in the back and carry out the law. That's it. That's it. It's not even an attack on the old Moors. It's just saying that they're going to come in with their eyes wide open. They're going to have a better understanding of the prophet's law. Right? And then also, they're coming into the temple, meaning the elders that are there can teach them, can assist them. But instead of them doing it, like when you're getting older, you might not be able to do all the work. The youth are going to come in, the younger Moors, the new Moors are going to come in and carry it out, right? Enforce the law, make it happen. They're coming in with the energy to get it done. They're going to get, as the brother Sparks Bay said, they're going to get forced to the back. Even if they don't want to, they're going to have to. because these people actually understand and know what needs to get done. But once again, if you're on the outside looking in, if you're not even going to come into the temple, if you're going to be like that dude I was talking to in the street, he's all, the temple been infiltrated. It, hang on a second, Morris. Okay, so coming back, Islam, brother. I see you, brother El Rahim. I'm bringing you in just a minute. We do have a guest in here. So just getting back to this, it's not even saying like, there's some problem with the old Moors. It's just saying to see them in the back. They can be advisors. That's one of the things that happens too as we get older, right? Like my granddad did construction. He worked construction for a long time, and he wound up opening up a business doing asphalt, right? And I would be out there doing asphalt with him too. And he wasn't doing it though no more. He was just telling us what to do, right? He was seated in the back. He bring us to the place, whether it was a house or like a business where we gonna be doing the asphalt, and he sit in the truck. Sometimes he leave. He tell us what to do, and he's gone. Right? He don't have to do the work anymore. He's older, so it's not even really a negative thing. It's not like it's an attack because it's saying the new Moors are gonna come in. They're gonna see the old Moors in the back. It's not even really an attack, especially if they're actually in the temple. They're actually elders. And now I know we don't always grow up to be elders. Some of us grow up and we just become old, and that's it. We're not carrying the wisdom. But when you actually meet an elder, someone who actually is wise, able to share, things with you that can help you to avoid mistakes, shut up and listen. Bottom line. A lot of us don't do that anymore because that's this new generation, right? This new generation that doesn't know anything. You ain't coming in nowhere with your eyes wide open, seeing and knowing, and you're not even wise enough to sit down like when you're actually talking to an elder and learn, right? Someone who can help you avoid those missteps that you're inevitably going to take. One example of that, if we look at the Black Panthers, um, reading Asada Shakur's biography, she talks about how what they went through, they didn't really have that guidance. So they're young. They're out here trying to bring about revolution. They're out here, trying to create programs and things in their community to provide protection in their community for their own neighborhoods because they knew the police was out there to subjugate them more so than to do their job. And so they're trying to do all this themselves. And then they don't even realize at the time that the FBI, law enforcement, they're out there putting they're paying people that look like them, law enforcement undercover to go amongst their organization, right? That they're being tracked, that they're paying their family members to track them, to try to trick them, to try to they're trying to paint them all to look like criminals. They got people amongst them like, hey, let's go rob this bank, trying to get them involved in criminal activity, right? And they didn't realize how heavy and deep the attack on them was until it was too late. You telling me that if there's elders around us that have been through that, they can warn us, they can say, okay, don't do this, don't do that. You're not gonna listen. That's crazy. So I'm saying, like, when it's saying seat them in the back, right? We're listening. And now we're gonna carry it out. We're not trying to pass the burden on, right? Because those elders aren't the ones that passed the burden down. Those are the ones who was in the fire, the ones who was fighting, right? And on that note, though, I want to go ahead and yield the floor to my brother Rahim Abdullah. Peace, gratitude for joining this discussion, brother. What would you like to say, brother? The mic is open.
Well, brother, I was just blessed to hear the acknowledgement, of the old soldiers. They say old soldiers don't die. And but you're 100% correct, and that's exactly what happened to the movement is that we got infiltrated, and we didn't learn the lessons of history.
Islam, yeah, and just with you saying that, I mean, you know, there's like a disconnect with, and I think it's been going on for a while, just with the generations where I think when the crack epidemic came through into our neighborhoods, that really really messed us up.
Well, it's really came down to where it's to the extent that it's down to the genetic level. I mean, it was as an attack on our genome. I mean, so this is epigenetics. I mean, so they destroyed us in the womb.
Yeah, definitely, man. So we have a disconnect where the younger generations aren't even listening. They're not even open to that guidance. That
Correct.
they could possibly get. And
Correct.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely something that we have to overcome because we definitely aren't trying to repeat the same cycles. You know, and for those that are out there that could warn and advise, we definitely need that guidance. Um,
And we need to be attentive to watch young brothers like yourself, that has picked up the mantle and running with it, to support you. So it's not just about, it's nothing worse than an old fool, so I like the innovation, and but more specifically the spirit of those, that are sincere. I mean, it's not that difficult to understand discernment. I mean, at this point, we clearly can see who's real and who's not.
yeah, definitely, brother. And just going back to that guidance is really needed. We need those elders, even if they're not even that much older than us. We just need that guidance and experience to avoid the traps that are coming for us. We've seen it firsthand, just dealing with our people trying to build it, and coming amongst those who look like us, who are not sincere, who are trying to stagnate the movement. And it would be so helpful, to have have that guidance with us that can help us steer through these things.
Absolutely, sir. No doubt.
Yeah, yeah. And I wanted to hit on that too because there's really no excuse to walk away from this. It's because it just speaking in layman terms, it's like, where else are we gonna go? I see that a lot. Like, I don't know if it's the stuff they're putting in the water or if it's the drugs or what, but a lot of us give up very easily. Once we meet any kind of conflict, and it's sad to see, but I mean, like, it doesn't even seem like it's that hard now to push us away to get us to go back to doing, whatever we maybe it's 'cause we have so many distractions, we have so many things to entertain us. But it's I'm not trying to be negative. I don't want anybody to get down because you're hearing this. I mean, we still need to push forward, but I see that a lot, man. A lot of people, especially the younger, they give up so easily. It's not even hard to push them or knock them off the square, you know. But we definitely, we that's what I just want to get back to, that thing with the new Moors seating the old Moors in the back. We definitely need that guidance. We need those elders, real elders, with the wisdom and who are, serious and sincere about moving this thing forward, really building our own nation. We need that. You can't have things out of balance. Like, it can't just be all men or all women, right? It can't be all youngsters, everybody 20 and under or something like that. You have to have a good mix. It has to be just like the community, right? Where you have elders, you have people of all ages. Even we have to have the children in there too, in the schools learning, and we need all of that, right? And it can't be out of balance. So, I wanted to put that in that proper perspective because people hear that new Moors coming in. It doesn't say they're gonna kick the old Moors out. It says seat them in the back. We need those elements, right? And it's not saying to seat the elders who sold you out in the back. No, the elders that's actually in the temple, that's for real, that's sincere, those who are really a part of this movement, because if we do it like that, it's something beautiful. We really can get that done.
Or we'll be exterminated.
That's right. That's right. Because it's on. I mean, we've talked about that on this channel a lot, how they put in they've been putting for years now the astrazine in the water, which attacks us. It attacks the males, and it turns the males either homosexual or
Feminine, effeminate.
yeah, yeah, and it actually changes our DNA. So we've been under attack, and that's not going to stop. Right? There's no excuse. So if we understand how serious this is, right? And I'm going to put that StreamYard link in here just in case there's any more people that want to join the dialogue. But if we understand how serious this is, there's really no excuse. Like there's nowhere to run to. There's nowhere to go, and there's no one that's going to fix this. It's the people that everybody else rejects. It's the people that everybody else is looking at us thinking we're immoral. We all, want to be gangsters or doing drugs and all this stuff. We're the ones who's going to change it. We're the only ones that's going to change it. That's it. In our Sunday school, we were just talking about this. When we look in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America, right, chapter 45, speaking about the divine origin of the Asiatic nations, right? Let me get this up here for you. So when we look in there, and this is speaking directly to us, even concerning our conditions today, right? It says, and this is the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America, chapter 45. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nations of North America need to learn to love and hate and know of their higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. Then it says the key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations, the Moorish, who were ancient Moabites and the founders of the city of Mecca. And so if it's saying the key of civilization was, meaning in the past it was in our hands, but then it also says and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations, meaning the key of civilization is still in our hands. Right. So this means that whether we realize it or not, the key to civilization is in our hands. So this means that if people want to control civilization, they want to have the key to civilization, they have to control us. And so this is why we see the subtle attack on our people. We see the imagery, like if you travel and go to different countries and you see some of the images that are promoted of us, the music, the videos, the movies, the TV shows, more than half of that stuff is negative. It's showing us as criminals, showing us as sex crazed maniacs, either doing drugs or selling drugs, and we're just immoral. It makes other people in other countries think that if we get around you, if we get around your children, we're going to corrupt them. We're going to come into your nation and corrupt you. That's what gets promoted to the world. But the key to civilization is still in our hands, people. It's still in our hands. This is not put in here just for show, just for fluff. The prophet specifically put this in here. You won't find this anywhere else in any book of the world. He specifically put that in there to let us know that in the past and right now, the key is still in our hands. So we can turn things around, and we're the only ones that are going to turn things around. Islam, sister, Robinson, Gaia Bay. That's why we're so disrespected. That's why it's so important to control us. That's why it's so important to control our image, to influence us, to have a proclivity towards, negative activity, right? This is what people like my age, right? I was born in 1980. This is what we saw growing up. And I'm sure it started before then, right? I'm just speaking on what I can relate to. This is what we saw growing up. We listening to 3-6 Mafia, Slob on My Knob. We listening to all this stuff, and we're thinking it's cool. We're thinking it's cool to be associated with criminal activity, to have no morals and respect. And this is what we got. And it's even worse now. or it's just as bad, if not worse now. And so this is what's pushed to us because we don't know the truth. We don't know that we hold the key to civilization. We don't have that dignity and respect and honor and this we don't feel that need to step our game up, right? We don't see ourselves as the leaders of the world. And so this is who the prophet had to come to tell these people who they truly are and then give us these steps on how to clean ourselves up and to pick ourselves up and then eventually to take this out to the world, right? And that's why I'm saying, like, especially for those that identify as Moors, you can't leave this part out of your demo, your demonstration. You can't. Islam, as brother Williams Bay said in the chat, we don't even know what the key to civilization is. We don't even know what that means. We hold the key. The dejected, rejected, right? The others would, look at us like we come in to corrupt things. They're not looking at us as who we truly are. We have to show the world. We have to pick ourselves up first. So when the prophet says that we're here to uplift fallen humanity, this is truly our mission. We're not trying to just copy and paste what the Europeans doing. We don't want to just go in and put poison in the water, polluting everything, just spreading debauchery. Because that's literally what's being done by Roman civilization. Yet we are painted as the bad guys. But you can do that because we're going right along with it. Right? And that's the other thing. When you are the boss, when you are the head of things, you have to take the blame. So even though they're out here doing all this stuff and everybody knows that for the most part they're not doing a good job, we take the blame. Because the key to civilization is still in our hands and we're not doing a good job. We're asleep at the wheel. We're allowing other people to run things, those who wear our fez in secret, in their, in their rituals, in their, in their secret lodges, at their gatherings, right? They're just stewards. They're just custodians holding it down for us. So Moors, we have to pick up, we have to take the key, we have to take the wheel, we also have to take the responsibility. That's another thing that we can't keep trying to get away from that responsibility. At the end of the day, you can't claim to be the new Moors. It's going to come and seat the old Moors in the back of the temple, but you don't want the responsibility, right? Yes, we're going to have to clean ourselves up. No, we can't depend on anyone else to do it. Yes, it's on us. We can't even depend on other people to start cleaning up the mess that they made until we show them that this is what you're going to have to do. You don't have no other choice. They're not going to just do it out the kindness of their hearts. We have to set things straight. Islam and just that new Moors thing, like Moors, don't get it twisted. Saying seating the old Moors in the back of the temple. It's not an attack on the old Moors. He didn't even say kick them out. If he said kick them out the temple, yeah, I have to be quiet. But no, it says seat in the back. They're still there. They have purpose. This is the other thing in this society. What do we do with the elderly? You put them off somewhere. If they got enough money, put them in the old folks' home, right? Put them off in the corner somewhere. That's what they do here. That's what they do in Rome with the elders. Islam, brother Sparks Bay. That's what they do here with the elders. They send them off to die. Okay? But is that our culture? Is that Moorish culture? That's not what we do here. Right? Just like the babies have a place, the women have a place, the men have a place, the elders have a place. Right? Like in our culture, you're not allowed to just get old. You're supposed to become an elder. You're supposed to gain wisdom. You're supposed to pass your wisdom down. In Rome, you can just get old. You can be an old person who's getting Botox and getting these BBL surgeries because we see it's so backwards here. They don't have any wisdom to pass down, right? They copying what the 20-year-olds are doing in their foolishness, not knowing any better. So they can't even give them wisdom. Grandma can't even tell her granddaughter, nah, don't do that, BBL. You don't try to put all your value in your body. Respect yourself. She can't tell her that because she doing the same thing. Grandma going to the Dominican Republic to get the surgery. She's not an elder. She can't even pass any wisdom down, right? So all of that has to be changed, right? The elders have their place. Just everyone has their place. They're supposed to be guiding. And I see that, man. We need that. I know this as being, in the Moorish body, working with my fellow Moors and seeing that we need that guidance, right? We need those elders. We need those muftis. We need those elders that we can trust that are just as serious about this movement as we are. That ain't gonna play with this, right? Who may have already come across some of these traps and things that we're encountering. We need that guidance. And I'm not afraid to admit that. We need that. I'm putting this out there as a call, like, not like crying or calling for help. I'm just keeping it real. Like, we need the elders to come and guide us, because, I mean, you know why. You already know what it's like out here, right? There's some things you would have done, differently if you knew what you knew now. Well, guess what? You've been reborn again. You can avoid those things by passing your wisdom down the next generation or 2 generations forward, That's what we're here for, right? And on that note, though, I'm not trying to do all the talking here. I yield the floor, Brother El Rahim, Sparks Bay, Brother Elijah L. If you want to chime in, feel free to.
Yeah, peace, bro. This
Islam.
I got I'm from PNF Research Group. A lot of y'all know my channel, and I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on what I think about the old Moors and the new Moors. So peace to all. What I don't think is, like you said, a negative comment that warrants a negative reaction. What I interpret is, when we're dealing with modernization and technology and this new youthful spirit, carrying a torch was in the temple, keeping the doors open to help people be uplifted and learn the sciences of the ancestors. So now with social media, it's like the old Moors versions is outdated, but y'all are still useful. They're still useful. You just got to adjust. Because the reason why I say that is because being a Moorish American is about being active, not passive. So individually, you still got to do what you got to do, if you outdated or not. So my advice, I would just help the brothers out who have not, who don't understand we're from America, we're indigenous, that the prophet wasn't fighting to take us back to Africa and keep us under colors. That simple understanding of what the prophet was bringing. So what I'm trying to say is you got to remain active in that struggle to let the people know they're home. So it's not really like we're separate. It's just that the old Moors are sitting in the temple, still governing from that perspective of in the temple, not understanding the global international capacity of their duties. You feel me? See, we already fulfilled that in the last 6-7 years and won the battle. The old Moors are still in the temple, not even knowing. The industrial Moors is in the new industry of media, dominating. You feel me? So that's what I think by putting them in the back, because they don't even understand what we have done. So other than that, more science is the way, because the prophet gave us so many remedies and instructions that still work to this day on know thyself, and the lower self and the higher self is undisputed, and I rep that. And I ain't gonna hog the floor. I just wanted to let people know how my perspective on the old Moors and new Moors.
Islam, brother, definitely gratitude for sharing your perspective. And actually, that's a good question that I would pose to the rest of the panelists on here. Let's start with Brother El Rahim, and then Brother Sparks Bay, and then the Sheik. Brother Arnil Bay, please chime in with your perspective on the old Moors and the new Moors.
Well, brother, let's be perfectly honest and brutally honest. There's nothing new under the sun. And I think that one is kind of being sidetracked and also misled with the technology because you don't control it. And if you can't control it, it can be turned against you, because whatever message that you have, and if your only outreach is through that medium, what's going to happen when they shut the grid down? So it's not that the old folks, brother, I'm old enough to have understood when they first invented the computer, when it was introduced, and folks was talking about the computer was the devil. And look at where we are today. But we don't control it. We don't control anything. So so we're going to have access one another, the knowledge, the wisdom, the experience through, and don't limit how we do that, or we're gonna miss because there's a gap, because it's nothing new. I mean, really just think about it. I mean, everything that's binary, it's all back to Islam. It's back to the math. You can't have technology without the math. So you got people that's online, but they don't know the math. So who's going to create it? Who's going to be the next? Where are the next builders? Of the satellites. So it's going to have to be a bridge, a marriage between the older generations who was there when they watched it happen. Because again, going back to the people who have just been able to just use it, they really don't understand it, because that's really all they know. I mean, people don't even pick up a book. What did they say about us? If you want to hide the secret, put it in a book. So if we're only going to read or listen to Audible, if we're only going to read or listen to things that's online, what are we going to do? We have to the disconnect. The disconnect is that we failed, but we was infiltrated. But we will rise again through you. So that's why the connection, and I appreciate brother reaching out to me and offering me the opportunity to sit in, because that's really what I wanted to hear was how you guys are carrying and been holding it down and running with this baton. Because again, as we've been the first creation, is a responsibility that we have. And there's no way that if we don't make that connection and bridge this gap, because the ball has already been dropped. Yeah, no, they don't. The young generation don't respect the elders at all, because they haven't had to.
Islam, brother. Yeah, gratitude for sharing your perspective. I definitely agree, brother. And let's hear from brother Sparks Bay and brother R. Neil Bay.
Islam. It's the more Sparks Bay. First and foremost, I rise giving the highest praise to the one who made you and the one who made I, none other than Father God Allah. And honest to his wise, illustrious, divine prophet who came in this era of time, in due time, none other than Prophet Noble Ali. And honest to the harbinger, the John the Baptist of this era of time, the purity that has surely paved the way for love, none other than Marcus Moselle Garvey. And honest to all you Moors on this live call, Islam. To camelback on a lot of the Moors in the conversation, what you got is it's like a science experiment. You got the young and yet unborn that's barely here. You got those who came into the movement with their sleeves rolled up and their eyes wide open. And then you got the Moors who were here before those Moors, the Moors who are today our nationals, our leaders. When you put all of that together and you look at three main common problems that diagnose itself into one prognosis, Moors just don't simply study, point blank simple. It's sad to say this, but when you look at the Prophet Noble Ali footsteps, he told us to concern ourselves with names, dates, and issues. So if you look at his footsteps and look at everything he did, the Prophet wasn't out here on the streets with the government. He was out here in the streets with the people. He was in the office with the government. When you look at some of his miracles, going back from 47th and Federal here in the Mecca. I'm from the Mecca. So when you hear these things, you will begin to fantasize, oh, we do have a Jesus come again. Nay, the Prophet let us know that he is our Jesus come again, because he performed the exact same miracles of the Prophet before him. So when you have this such thing as name, dates, and issues, we're legal Moors in this era of time. The Moors that are coming into this movement with their sleeves rolled up and their eyes wide open, they not here to necessarily bring a spiritual ramification. The spiritual ramification, the stage was set when the prophet and Marcus Garvey hit the scene. The Moors that are here now are the Moors that have seen that this is what the prophet has brought. And we are here to perform the legal ramifications that is necessary as to why we have two different Qurans. When I say two different Qurans, I'm talking about the Moorish Holy Temple of Science and the Moorish Science Temple of America. We got one Quran that's economically civic based, and we have another Quran that's spiritually based. So you take both and you understand how church and state is amalgamated today within the European government. Most Moors forget when the prophet laid his footsteps down, the man only filed a couple pieces of paper with his signature actually on it. So if he told you to follow it, I believe there's some importance into that. But Moors don't want to do that. Moors don't. The only thing Moorish leaders do today is either reincarnate the prophet, want to sit in his seat, or tell you a whole false perpetuation of something that's propaganda that you can't prove. With that, I'm kind of hot tonight, Moors. With that, I say peace and love and you.
Islam, brother. Gratitude for sharing, and pardon self for not rising, giving the highest of praise to the Most High, our Creator, our Father God Allah, and honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, honors to the forerunner, brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and honors to all you good Moors here on the panel, honors to everybody watching. I know you're hitting the like and share button. Honors to everything Moorish. And brother R. Neil Bey, I yield the floor to you.
Islam. Praises be to Allah and honors to his divine prophets. We give honors to all the ills and bays who will their way to Allah. We give honors to all of you who even allowed me to come on this call and share a word, Islam. And I don't want Sparks Bake to unmute because the topic is about our elders, correct? And putting them in the back, correct? Is that where we were going with this?
Islam. Yeah, I would like to get your thoughts on that. You know, the elders, the new Moors coming in, seating the old Moors in the back to carry out the Prophet's law. Islam.
Okay, praise Allah. Now, I used to try to fight that concept because I used to say that the Prophet said, or did it come from the oral statement? But living out the last 10 years in the Moorish Science Temple of America. I joined the Moorish Science Temple of America at the age of 1988. My father's a Moorish American. My mother's a Moorish American. I come from a Moorish American family. Okay? But my father stepped away from the temple. He never gave up on the message. He got tired of the division, the Kirkman, the Gibbon Zeal. You know, we didn't even know anything about Emilio. Okay, so as I did my research, I had to sit at the feet of many so-called elders, and a lot of them don't want, and Sparks Bay, I need you to step in, they don't want to do any civic work. Okay, and the reason I'm asking Brother Sparks Bay to sit it in because I know he was doing some writing and some work with Brother D. Bailey Yield, who didn't mind being in the back. Let me say that again. That's why I put that on here. There's elders or senior officers in the movement who don't mind being in the back as long as it's going to be brothers and sisters who are going to come up and do what Allah has put on their hearts and minds and not get caught up into the ego. Okay? And I can bear witness that Brother D. Bailey Yield was one of those elders who was willing. But guess what? Like somebody put in the chat, or as I just heard, the young don't want to come to the temple now. They feel like they can go and start a whole nother entity and try to trace it back to the prophet, or do it this way, or do it that way. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of confusion. If the elders get in the back, who's going to come up and do what we need to do to work on building on our human needs that's in our literature from our prophet? Get in the back. Ain't no problem with getting in the back. But who's going to go and do what like the brother said? We got government to deal with. We got to be on the highways and byways, which means that you should be out there in your local community dealing with those that know you by however they know you. In my community, they don't know me by Grand Chief. They don't know me by any officer in the temple, the Moorish Temple of America. They call me by whatever name they call me, but all the names are known. And it's been that way since 1988 because we don't get caught up on title. So I see a lot of brothers and sisters who come in that's young, they never had a position. They never had a title anywhere else. So when they come in, Brother Sparks Bay can tell you because he was working with the books for Brother D. Bailey Hill. It's a lot of scandals going on. So we got to start doing some praying. We got to do some fasting. And we got to really seek Allah to change what we have going on. If the elders get in the back, who's going to come do what they need to be done to uplift them? You know, it costs to run the temple. A lot of people don't know that, Moors. We don't get any money or no state money. So whenever you open up a temple building, it costs to run that. And the Lords are coming in saying, hey, we're supposed to have this, we're supposed to have that. They don't even want to pay dues to keep the temple building. So it's on both sides. The elders, I'm an elder. I'm a senior now. I'm in the back. And I know Brother D. Bailey Hill, he left here in the back. Okay? And I can name other ones that aren't left us. They've been in the back. But Moors are going out trying to reinvent the wheel of what Noble Ali gave us. It's not going to work that way.com. With that, I say Islam and thank y'all for Islam.
Islam. Gratitude, brother. I'll yield the floor to you in 1 second, Brother Sparks Bay. For the people who posed some questions in the chat, just hang on, don't go anywhere. We'll get to those. Brother Sparks Bay, did you have something to say?
Islam, I want the camel back on Brother Neil Bay. Islam, more good to hear your voice, man. I ain't heard you in a while.
You know, I haven't heard from you since we have not been in Chicago. Okay, so if there's a way, if the brother can send you my information, because he was doing some work more for Brother D. Bailey Hill that was honorable. Okay, they don't took people out of books, they don't took people out of things that this brother was right there, rewriting things for this elder, and there's certain things that we gotta hold on to. You see what I'm saying? So Islam, brother, yes, sir.
Islam. I'm gonna be real brief with this. I'm gonna repeat a profound statement by one of the brothers I had a conversation with over the weekend in terms of us being the young and yet unborn coming into this movement with our sleeves rolled up and our eyes wide open, and not necessarily the elders willing to train us because they admire us in such a non-honorable way that it makes them jealous. So when they do teach us, we end up figuring this out in the first place anyway. Islam, I'm gonna read this statement. It says, the prophet started this movement on the backs of snakes and scorpions so that we wouldn't have to. He gave his life and words as a living sacrifice to show us what to watch out for, character flaws and behavioral traits of people who cannot wait to double cross you. He also showed us that many will clamor for positions of leadership for the wrong reasons. Now, all we have to do is follow our prophet's example and clean up his temple. I start off by saying, those words are 100% profoundly correct. And in this era of time, it's not a lot of Moors from my experience with dealing with older Moors that are modest enough, let alone humble enough to just come up and say, yeah, more this was going on back in the past. However, I do recognize and honor your intelligence or your in tune wisdom. This is how you need to take steps into moving forward and shed a more brighter light upon you. Moors don't do that today. You literally have to join a secret Moorish lodge or join a different sect of the Moorish Science of America just to get an ADAP degree. I bear witness to this. It's nationals in this movement that are only nationals because they know how to claim the prophet's money. Outside of that, Moors are not 100% willing to just sit down unless you have something to bring forth. As to why any sheik that David Bailey Hill raised, former Supreme Grand Sheik of this movement from 1968 to 1992, and again from 2005 to current date 2019, he taught us any Moorish leader got to have stacks, racks, and bands. If you cannot afford food, clothing, or shelter, any Asiatic on a short-term basis, may they be in help, or any more, may they be in help. You cannot call yourself a Moorish leader or head of a temple. He teaches us if you cannot propagate this faith by producing the actual original literature that the prophet gave us by way of your 101, your Constitution and bylaw, and your Holy Quran, you cannot call yourself a Moorish leader. So now that you broke and ain't got no influence, that means you ain't got no power. You shouldn't be in the seat. And this is the problem that us as called new Moors that are coming in with our eyes wide open and sleeves rolled up. This is the problem that we're adverse against. Moors don't know how to step down. With that, I yield the floor and say peace and love.
Islam and gratitude, brother. Brother Arnil Bey, were you trying to speak as well?
Well, he just said something that's very powerful, brother. Guess what? Most of us are walking in the path. That's why we got to learn how to use our Holy Quran. Those snakes, those scorpions that the Prophet Noble Ali was speaking about. But if you take these lessons and save yourself, Allah's guiding, Moors. You see, I almost see that, and I'm not trying to big up Arnil Bey either. And you Moors who got to go through rituals with Brother D-Bay Leal, I respect y'all for that because I never got that from him. Okay? But one thing I did get from him, he said, more, here go this 10-10-5-9-05. Learn how to use it to free you. According to chapter 47, verse 14, Act 1, learn how to use it to free you. And that's the problem I think a lot of us are running into. We don't know how to use the instruments to free us. And like the brother said, a lot of people want to charge you to learn it. But just open up your Holy Quran, Moors. Don't get tricked off into going into a red book, a blue book. And this sheik's on this call. No disrespect to anyone. But the first book that we should have and know and be able to stand on, be able to center ourselves with is the Holy Quran. Okay? I've been using it since 88, Moors. Did I have a bad past in the back? Yes, many years ago. But for 20 years now, I've been carrying it. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And there's other Moors who are carrying it. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. But they're leaving the temples now. They're leaving our safe haven that Allah has given us. So don't be discouraged, Moors. Stay away from all the gossiping, the slandering, the bickering. And let us really take these lessons and save ourselves. And then we can sit down together. Man, woman, and child is a nation, right? I can sit down with Brother Douglas Hill and his family, Brother Sparks Bay and his family, and we can sit with the families of the nations. Islam with that. Let us do right, Moors. I have never seen the Moorish Science Temple America so spread like it is today. But I know it's greatness coming out of it. You see what I'm saying? Moors, we got to do right. Take the basic degrees and take them and save yourself. With that, I say thank y'all for having me on here.
Islam, brother. And just to add to what you're saying, regardless of how things look, we know that everything's happening for a reason. So greatness is definitely coming out of it. If it looks like division and things are spread out and all of these things, people not passing down the keys, not training, really, letting us know what's going on. It's all happening for a reason. It's only to strengthen us. And that's really, when you really get down to it, that's what this dialogue is about. I don't think anyone should come away from this dialogue feeling like, oh man, it's over, I quit. No, there's strength here. And when there's strength, there's unity. I think everybody on here is sincere about realizing our true potential and fulfilling what you saw up there on the screen. You saw what the prophet brought to us or returned to us, right? He let us know that the key to civilization, where is it? Where does it sit? It doesn't matter how things look. Where's the key to civilization?
That's right.
It's in our hands.
That's right.
In the past and right now, Moors. Isn't that amazing? Even in our lowest state, the key to civilization is still in our hands. So that's why when we look around the world, when you see the things, or you hear the music, or you see what the youth are doing, or you see this or that, whatever it is that you don't like in the world, what did the prophet always tell us to do? Look in the mirror. It comes right back to us. Now he's talking to everybody. That's a universal message, regardless of where you're from. That applies to everyone. But we're Moorish American. This broadcast, this podcast is specifically dealing with us. So that comes back to us. We need to look in the mirror. If we don't like the way things are going, we know where the key of civilization sits. It's right here in our hands. He didn't just say it's with the Asiatic nation. He said it's in the hands of the Asiatic nations. So if we don't like the way things are going on, we have to fix ourselves. We have to get ourselves together. We have to strengthen ourselves, right? We have everything that we need to do it right here in our hands.
That's
You
right.
know that song, what they teach us in the churches, he got the whole world in his hands.
That's right. That's right, Sheik.
We all know it. I know you was singing it, right? In the little Sunday schools, he's got the whole world in his hands. So we have the keys to civilizations right now. We can turn this around in an instant, and it doesn't matter what appears to be working against us. It doesn't matter if there's people within us, amongst us, who appear to be working against us. Nah, they're only here to strengthen us, man. They're only here to give us a little challenge so we can be the strength of Allah made manifest. This is not the time to fold. This is not the time to fold, Moors. This is the time to come together. If there's a little challenge, to push that aside, push through it. See things through to the end, Moors. That's why we're here. I believe that's why everyone is here, Moors. And definitely, I appreciate everybody coming in for joining in and sharing their thoughts. I don't really have any other questions to pose to Moors, but I will say this, I will pose this question to everybody, just going in line. We have Brother El Rahim, Brother Sparks Bey, Brother Elijah L, and Brother Arnil Bey. Please just share your thoughts on what you think we can begin to do, from a practical level to take hold of the keys to civilization. It's already in our hands, whether we want to admit it or not. But what advice would you share? And on that note, I yield the floor.
Well, I'll speak. It's like the brother said. It's in our hands, and we have to take what we have been given. Number one, how can you save anyone if you can't save yourself? So there's a lot of people who talk the word, but are they really doers of the word? So it's right about now. We gotta make this word become flesh. We can't. We just can't just talk it. Yes, it is time, and it's been time for us to be able to apply the things that we know. But it's all about the application. We got to come out the classroom and apply these principles. It's really all I have to say.
Islam, brother. Brother Sparks Bey, do you have any words to share on that question?
Islam, the camel back on Brother El Rahim. I'm just gonna say what it is. A lot of people don't understand what nationality is. Nationality is an actual national agenda that the Prophet established here in Chicago for us around not only the United States, the world. It's a national agenda, meaning unity, point blank simple. He taught us together we stand, divided we fall. And that same metaphor been taught too many years and too many generations before the Prophet. So if that's the same message then, that's the exact same message now. We must understand what nationality is as it relates to being nationals here in America. Most Moors think that that's sovereignty talk. How is it sovereignty talk when the Prophet brung us nationality? Point. It's just how you take it, what direction you look at. And the direction today is truth and falsehood strangely mixed due to one reason and one reason only. The split. Once the split happened, that's just like any country, any land. Two kings that go to war and the dominant king win. Everybody's subjected to the dominant king's rule, his God, his religion. So this is the same perpetuated science that go on today. It's our job to understand why. And once we understand why, continue to propagate the faith by keeping the temple doors open, by letting it be known that we of Asiatic people of North America, especially the Moorish America, we care. Unity, nationality, these are two great principles of our Islamic faith that make the Prophet real for those who understand this. Moors don't understand this, and it's sad. Households don't understand this, and it's sad. When I came into the temple, I didn't understand it, and that was sad. So I'm just going to say we just have to unite and understand how to unite more nationally, more politically. You know what I mean? We supposed to be in our mayor's office and UN meetings, and the prophet showed us what to do. We just don't do it. He said, follow in my footsteps by works, actions, and deeds. That's what me and Douglas Seal strive to do all year. How? What moves did he make? What legal filings did he have? How can I get this proof? Show me where it's at. Moors are not doing that. They not seeking. The Bible says, seeking you shall receive. Asking you shall receive. Knocking it shall be open to you. That's the same principle applies. It's a universal teaching. Moors don't know how to take universal teachings and live their lives upon the love, true peace, freedom, and justice. I ain't gonna get too heavy because I'm at the home front. However, that's the message I leave you, Moors.
Get heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
We must unite. Unity is the order of the day, and we got good Moors out here that are on the unity path. They just have to see it in a more pure light. That's it. That's all. With that, I yield. I want to say peace and love.
Mainly in Chicago.
Islam, gratitude, Brother Sparks Bay. All right, Brother Elijah L., you have anything to say on that topic?
Oh yes. I'm gonna stick to the topic. All praise due to Allah, His illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and the forerunner Marcus Garvey. I want to stick to the topic on the new Moors and the old Moors, and like the Noble Drew Ali is a prophet. So in order to allow his words to be prophecy, the older Moors would have to allow for the new Moors to come in first. They would have to have a mind for that out of love, not worried if somebody is going to do a bad job or if they're ready. That's not up for them to decide. I believe that's up for Allah. But if they're just commit the actions to allow for the triggering of the domino effect for these people to open the floodgates and the Moors to come in, try allowing the new Moors to fill in that role of actually doing that. And I think that the younger people don't really ask. They're already made. They know how to just get things done versus our older selves. And like a Moorish American like me, I already knew. I asked questions. I was like, this is my moment of clarity, y'all. When I asked, I was like, isn't the Mufti a British soldier? So why would I be a Mufti? These are the type of questions I used to ask, whether I'm right or wrong. So a lot of Moorish Americans, they would ask, like, if the prophet said, quoted, you can take what I brought and take it and save a nation, but take it and save yourself. And we will process that with these older Moors telling us stuff, because talking too much is the foolishness of folly. We understand that. And we're like, okay, so you got all of this to say, and you got all of these statuses and the depth degrees. Have you saved yourself, brother? Right? Besides what Noble Drew Ali brought, have you saved yourself? So I've not gotten even an answer from nobody yet. So, because I'm quite sure they would show us how they saved themselves to make this easier for all of the brothers and sisters, since we uplifted each other. So with that being said, the newer Moors will probably apply what Noble Drew Ali brought if they was given a chance, but I haven't seen them being given the chance yet. Because if you haven't saved yourself, you're just talking, you're just pointing in a direction, which a marker can do. And talking too much is the foolishness of folly. So I'm listening to everybody, but we're active, we're not passive. And the people who can show us how they saved themselves are the people who need to be talking. Other than that, we're just hearing people you feel me? So that's why I'm going with it as a new Moorish American. Show me, rather than telling me about your old stories of victory or how you conquered individual tasks. Internationally and culturally, what we need to do to turn it up a notch is actually allow the youth to have their own body, to formulate, to see if it's going to happen, the prophecy, versus some older Moors telling us what we can and can't do. And with that being said, I leave that measure in all honors to the Prophet, Allah, and everyone else who put in their work out here. Islam.
All right, Islam, brother. Brother Arnil Bey, did you have any thoughts you want to chime in on?
Islam, praises be to Allah and honors to His Prophet. Yes, sir. Well, the thought that I leave with Moors with is get with those Moors who do know. I mean, they can start, look, Moor. They don't, and I tell people this, and I'm not trying to be funny. You don't have to join my temple to do what I do, to be free. You see what I'm saying? What's good for me is good for you. So they can start with you, Moor. If they can't find nobody else, they can find you. There's good Moors throughout the states. And And when I say good Moors, if they don't know, they're going to send you to somebody who do know. You see what I'm saying? So Moors got to start there. We got to go back to the temple. Everybody want to stay away from the temple. You see what I'm saying? Our issue is in the temple. Our safe havens is in the temple. We are protected by international law. As the brother was saying, there's missionaries already over in certain parts of West Africa setting up schools over there. I'm not going to put a lot of people information out there. You see what I'm saying? So there's great things being done, but we don't know about it because Moors are clicking my group against this group. When the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said there's no favoritism in any of the temples. We have what the Moors are looking for. We just need the Moors to come in, and we need to do it in a temple. As the Prophet said, it take, 16 secretaries? Inshallah, I love to see that. I love to see great Moorish buildings as I travel. This is where the Moors having their temple meeting at. This is where the Moors doing business at. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's the vision I see for the Moorish Science Temple of America. And I truly believe it's coming. Moors are already on one page. How do you say that, Arnil Bay? You sound crazy. But we all read from the Holy Quran to the Moorish Science Temple of America. We all say the Moorish American prayer. We all have the divine constitution and bylaws. We all say chapter 25. But from there, our Lord self has kicked in. We're grouping. We got to come out the group stuff. We got to come out the click stuff. Some people don't even like information I put up because it's me, Moors. That's sad and crazy. That's a mental illness, Moors. And I ain't did nothing to no one, but I'm not with this clique, or I'm not with that clique or that group, or on the phone. Sharks back, because he know exactly what I'm talking about. That's crazy, Moors. You got Moors who want to kill you for doing right. Okay? Things like that got to change in the name of Allah. And we got to do it not in the criminal way. We got to do it according to pushing the pen. Push the pen, Moors, but get in the temple. What did I say? Islam.
Islam, brother. I want to address some of the comments from the chat. It segues into what you're saying about Moors needing to actually come into the temple to help to assist the build. So brother Martin Ellen is saying most of us still have driver's license due to duress and coercion because we still have jobs and haven't seen enough unity to risk it all to be our true selves, the L's and the Bays. Nationality isn't economically promising enough to lead the plantation for most of us. We still not sincere Moors. We still have some driver's license and European names. So I'm going to address that real briefly. So quickly, I'm just going to. Well,
And can I get with you too, more?
Oh yeah, of course. So first I want to go to the part about the European names. Okay. So and you can change your name. You can do whatever you want. You can change your whole entire name. That's your prerogative. When the prophet just told us just to affix our tribal titles El or Bey onto our surname, onto your family name, right? The European name's not the slave name. The slave name is the mark of Negro, Black, colored, now African American, right? Now, if what is true, what's up on the screen is true, the divine origin of the Asiatic nations, the key to civilization was and still is in the hands of the Asiatic nations, then you can't say that the European name is a slave name because we descend from the founders, the creators of civilization. So that means when you get back to it, who civilized the European? The Moors did not just bring science and mathematics to Europe. They even brought language to Europe. So if the prophet is saying, hey, don't worry about all that. All you have to do is affix this El or Bey to your name. Now if you want to change your whole name, that's cool. But I'm just saying that's all you got to do. You can't say we have European names because these names distinguish us from everyone else in the world, right? So if it's a Douglas L, a Neil Bey, right, a Sparks Bey, that distinguishes us as Moorish Americans. More than likely, we either from North America, we from Jamaica or somewhere else like that, right? You have Haitians, they could affix the L or Bey to their name. right? You have the people, you know, in Puerto Rico, Cuba, all of these people that can do the same, right? The people in Brazil, their name might be Portuguese, but then they got the L or the Bay on it that distinguishes them from everyone else in the world. Just like everybody else has their own unique names, we are now distinguished. We are specifically Moorish American, even though a person from Haiti who's Haitian, who's Moorish American, right, is Moorish Haitian, right? But they still from the Americas. So we are distinguished from everyone else in the world. And at the end of the day, the Moors are the ones who civilized and brought language, names, all of these things to Europe. So the prophet said, hey, you just put the Ella Bay on there. And I go into the driver's license thing. The right to travel, as people want to say, is regulated at the state level. So if you don't want to have a driver's license, but you want to be out here on the roads, who are you dealing with? We have to build up our nation, and in the temple, we are not in denial about that. We have to build up our nation. We have to build the infrastructure, the things that we need, that we see fit for our nation. So if you want to act like you don't need a driver's license, or act like having a driver's license is somehow locking you into slavery, I don't care who you heard saying that stuff. It sounds like they know what they're talking about. All they're doing is repeating jargon from the redemption manual. And you obviously, and not knocking the person who said that in the chat, but the people who are repeating this obviously don't understand that enough to know that it is pointless and that it is not even fruitful. You can't tell your grandma, get out there and argue your right to travel. You can't tell your son or daughter who just got their driver's license, get out there and argue your right to travel. It's not sustainable. If you want to do that, you have to have a nation. You have to be organized. You have to have a system that can sustain whatever you're trying to do. And that does not exist yet. So you Moors that want to play pretend with that jargon, right? You're living in fantasy world. We don't need that. We need real down-to-earth people that know that they need to roll their sleeves up. We need to build our cities. We need to build our towns. We need our own Bureau of Motor Vehicles. Not this pretend mess.
Oh, you teach it now.
Go somewhere with that. That's pretend. And there's some people who I like who are smart, sound good, but if they're spitting that mess, they're being reckless. You can't prosper living like that. If you out here taking care of your family and trying to be successful and prosperous, you can't be, I'm going to argue, potentially have to argue with the police a right to travel. Get out of here with that mess, man. That is trash. It's straight trash. It's time to dead all of that foolishness. It is a psyop meant to get you guys to start ruining your life over nothing. Put it where it deserves to be. It's in the trash. And you're not trying to build the actual Moorish towns and villages and cities that can sustain and that have the infrastructure that we need for you to even be out there talking that mess. You're all by yourself if you want to argue that stuff. We need people who's going to roll up their sleeves and build a nation, not play video games and get high and all this foolishness. Islam, brother, I yield the floor. Brother Arnil Bates, you have something to say about that?
Islam, yeah, I just wanted to share. We just actually talked in Sunday school because a lot of Moors, and I love my brothers and sisters in the Moorish Temple America, but they changed their name, whether it's an Arabic name or Swahili, I don't care. How are you going to get the compound interest that's owed to your great-great-grandma and your great-great-grandparents if you're changing your name? You're writing yourself out of history. This is our land. We got to remember that, Moors. We are at home. But like the Moors said, look, everybody want to do this right to travel. I have seen great Moors with no criminal records ever start getting caught up into that way of life, right? Lose nice vehicles and information that belongs to the Moorish Temple of America. That's dangerous. You see what I'm saying? So I don't uphold that. Learn how to contract if you don't want to have a so-called driver's license. But that's not the Grand Sheik and that's not the temple's problem, more. Islam, that's an individual problem. Because you don't know how to contract. I'm not fussing at anyone, but learn how to contract. That stuff there, more and more are going to jail and losing. out than gaining anything. Seriously, Morris. And I've been called bad names, ages, and everything for sharing it with Morris, but it's the real. Anything that's going to make you and jeopardize going to jail, away from your family, or being out here on the streets, I'm not with that.
But more,
The
you're right. And nobody can call you an agent because nobody is going to take their 18, 19-year-old child and put them out there on the road, say, hey, get out there. If they stop you, argue your right to travel. You're not going to do that unless you're evil. Why would you want to set them up, put them in a position where they might potentially get killed for no reason? So since they wouldn't send their child out there like that, if they, unless they're evil, they know it's a joke. Right? And that means if you want to argue that, you are stuck on stupid. I might not be as eloquent and as kind as you brothers, but I'm just going to keep it like that, even if people want to get mad. You're stuck on stupid if you want to push that. Why do you want to get stuck on some right to travel instead of getting stuck on building some type of economic system? Let's see, well, we can do this, we can create this, and we can trade this. Why you don't want to get stuck on things that's actually going to progress and move forward? You know?
That's right.
Come on, man. They could go somewhere with that. That's trash. And then when they act like it's somehow locking you into slavery, you're not paying for permission to travel. I mean, how much is a driver's license? Where do you live? I mean, maybe they charge it a lot in New York City, right? But in everywhere else, it's like what, $25? That's shameful to act like that's hurting you. To pay that fee to get it. Because as the sister said in here, in our nation, in our communities, just to have a Moorish town, we're going to have a Moorish city council, Moorish mayors. We're going to have law and order. And so that means that you won't be able to come into our towns and villages if you're not going to abide by our laws. So at the end of the day, you're going to have to answer to someone. It's not just free willing it, just doing whatever. The prophet gave us divine laws. The prophet said we are law abiders. Of course we are, because we created civilization. We're not going against that. As the sister said, who's fixing the potholes on the land, the traffic lights?
See, if they don't want to drive, be like the prophet. Go get you a chauffeur.
Islam.
If you can't do that, then stand down. Don't try to put that on the temple and say the temple ain't right now because we ain't helping you with a road travel. Come on.
Islam.
And to keep your name, Moors, be careful with what we're doing. We are at home. We know what the records say. We know there's hidden records, secret information that they've been trying to hide from us. But the people are waking up now, and they're sharing it. We got to be in position, like the Moor says, so we can take our place in the affairs of man. Who know how to run the government? What do you know how to do in the government? If all of them leave today and Carbondale is ours, I need somebody who knows how to keep the water going. ETC. Exactly. I'm thinking on that level, man. Somebody talking about some road travel.
Yeah, that's petty. That's beneath us. Like, come on, like the things that you just mentioned, and having control over our own water supply. These things are more important than squabbling over travel. That's a you problem. That's a strictly you problem. We can't relate. Most of us, we travel all the time, and it's not even a big deal. We're not about to be putting some bogus plates on our, car and doing all of these things. That's foolishness. And those things were put out into our community by agents, to make the movement look like it's a joke and unreal. And you may not want to admit that if you're caught up in that mind state, but it was put out there to make it look like it's a joke and unreal. Islam, the brother Sanders L out of Temple 21, Dallas. Islam. So, and I get it. Most of that's petty. You're not going to get caught up in that. We shouldn't even put too much time and energy towards that discussion. But, it unfortunately, it isn't a problem. And unfortunately, some of you Moors are actually caught up in that. You don't even see through the scam. You don't even see it for what it is. That's why we got to put it in a proper light. We don't have time for that. Right? We moving on to bigger and greater things. And no, we not going to be out here telling our children it's just getting their license, go out there and argue right to travel with these fools so that you can get caught up and ruin your life for nothing. That's not how you build a nation. Nobody else is doing that, by the way.
That's right.
Nobody.
That's right. That's right.
Right. So, that's not where we want to be stuck at. But, Moors and Islam too. I'm glad you brought that up though. The prophet, said, well, allegedly the prophet said, I think that's a, pretty good um um oral statement as far as like um the records on who said it, who told that to the prophet,
Right,
who
right.
told that. But yeah, I believe the prophet said that, we're gonna get paid in compound interest. So yeah, no
Islam.
no point in throwing those things away. We're owed. We just following the prophet to a destiny that is neither uncertain nor unknown.
Islam, see, and that's what we did. We went through the oral statements and we said we got to make these oral statements make sense to us, right? So with a research team, if you change your name, you're writing yourself out of, I'm just giving it to you simple. You're writing yourself out of history. What's been unmade and undone and hidden and all that we're researching, starting from Virginia to South Carolina to North Carolina and Mississippi. You see, all of us can trace ourselves back through those records. And if you're changing your name, you're taking yourself out of the record. So, that's very, very serious, Morris. Be careful on changing your name. Why are you changing your name anyway? I mean, you are who you are, Islam.
Islam, brother, and that makes a lot of sense. And in some cases, if you actually do the lineage genealogy, you may find yourself going back throughout history, even hundreds of years on paper. So definitely, you don't want to separate yourselves from those records. And I think the general consensus that we all can agree on is to be sustainable, right? To be autonomous, to be in control of our own destiny, even to the point of growing our own food, having control of everything that we need, just like everyone else. To be able to provide jobs for our own people. This is what we're working on. But brother and sisters, anyone else that feels like what the brother's saying, we all feel where you're coming from. That's the end goal, but we have to get there. So I'll give you an example of people that are pushing for that, or that have already done that. You have people that come here from, I'm guessing they're from South Korea, right? But you have Koreans that come here and they specifically come to our neighborhoods and sell us things. They even, you have a whole entire industry of people that are Korean that sell black hair care products to our people, right? And we know black is a slave label, but you know what I'm saying. They sell black hair care products. They do everything, grease, everything, hair. They have weave, they have wigs, they have all of that, and they specialize in it, and they specialize in supplying it to us and controlling it to the point where they have that black hair care industry on lock. And the reason I'm saying this is because what do you think they do with that money, with that fiat, that pretend money, right? Now they use it for themselves, right? Buy themselves houses and stuff they need right here in the US. They also send that money back to Korea. And it's such a big deal that if the black hair care industry was just cut off, if we just flip, change the game and started providing our own hair care products, stop buying from them completely wholesale, Korea, okay, whether it's North Korea or South Korea, is going to be in trouble because that is a huge part of their GDP for their entire nation. It's the money that they make from black hair care products. And I'm saying this because, they have their own money that they create with their own people on it. But they get in this US money to build their nation, to prosper their nation, to reach their goals. So let's stop playing pretend. If you don't want to work, if you don't want to do the things that you need to do, just say that. Just say, I don't want to work. I'm tired of this. Don't sit up and say, because it's a fiat, I'm locked into the system. I'm a slave if I work and get money. No. Why not get that paper and use it to build your nation like everybody else do? That was a real life example of a real entire nation. And they just doing it off of black hair care products, man. Just find your lane, get in there and work that and build your nation. It's what everybody else is doing. Then the Koreans, Mexicans, all types of people sending money back home, building up their country for real. You go to Mexico, I mean, like we were just in Mexico like last month. They building it up. Real physical buildings. They building it, and it's a lot of Mexicans. When you go there, they're not all poor. There's a lot of Mexicans is doing good. And they're building industries and things for themselves. And a lot of that is coming off of sending money back home. The fake fiat. That's a cop out, man. Yeah, we all know it's fiat. Yeah. What you gonna do about it? Get the fiat, build your stuff. That's it. Keep it simple. Get the fiat, build your nation. Okay? Make your own money with your own stuff on it to actually carry some weight. All right? But don't pretend that you got it. Do it for real. Build it. Everybody else is doing it. Why can't you? I believe the prophet and brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey said that. Not in those exact terms, but everybody else in the world is doing it. You know, on that note, though, I yield the floor. If anyone else has any thoughts, just in general, any thoughts that you would like to share, please feel free to speak. And I yield the floor. Let's go, brother El Rahim, brother Sparks Bay, brother Arneal Bay.
I think you wrapped it up. I think you brought it on home. You made it plain so everyone can understand. Praise the Lord for that. Seriously, let's be real.
Absolutely.
I don't think we can say anything else on that topic there, Mo. I think you topped that off real good. I'm seeing sisters in there saying facts like you dropped it. I'm in the
That's right. That's right.
Islam. I'm with you, Moors, and I'm glad that we have, you know, some good, solid brothers and sisters out there, and it's not scared or not turned off because we have to build our own nation. You know, they're not turned off because somebody else ain't gonna come and do it for us. You know, it's good to know, you know, that we're here and that we're ready to work together and get it done. And for those out there that just for the most part you're studying or seeing this stuff online, know that it's not just what you see online. It's a real movement for real.
That's right.
With real people, even with their families in it, with little Moorish children and everything.
That's right. That's right.
You know? And if you feel like this rings true with you, go ahead and start linking up with your people for real. Because somebody said, was it Jill Scott Heron? Somebody said the revolution won't be televised. It's not, you're not gonna be able to see it on the internet.
That's right.
At the end of the day, you gotta get out there and get to work. In Islam, I agree with this sister Kiera. Every Moorish American Muslim should have a business. You know? But you know, it's on us. Nobody's gonna do this for us. Nobody's gonna get it done. You know, if we don't get it done. Islam. And let me see. I think that there were some questions in the chat. I'm trying to get back to that. Let me see. I'm trying to scroll up more. Just hang on a second. I'm moving a little slow. But let's see. I know we had a couple of questions. Yeah, I'm trying to multitask, but I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I have to do like one thing at a time if I'm gonna do it well. So you know, it's taking me a second, but I did see some questions in here. I'm trying to get back to it. But first, we had somebody, brother Hassan Gate, said I'm an American citizen originally from Morocco. Does it make me one of the new Moors? Born and raised in Casablanca. Am I considered one of the new Moors? Anybody wanna touch on that? Want to touch on that? No, because the term Moorish American is specifically reserved for. Well, let's go to Act 6. Let's look in our divine constitution. And I don't know, like, you know, if this is even going to make sense to the brother, this, you know, from Morocco, but we're gonna touch on this from our perspective. Okay, this is gonna probably answer some questions for people in the future that may see this broadcast, right?
That's right.
So let's see who we're talking about, because this might be confusing to people, right? But we're looking at the divine constitution and bylaws of the Moorish Temple of America, looking at Act 6 from our Constitution. It says, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. Why? That they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. So just cutting it off there, right? Our sinful ways, we took on these labels, these marks, deluding to slavery. Negro, colored folk, black people, or Ethiopians. These were all nicknames, marks that our people have gone by at some point in time. So this is specifically talking to these people. You know, now he's specifically talking about the people in North America, but I mean, you can go from Brazil throughout the Caribbean, Jamaica, all of those places, and all of those people got that Negro tag put on them. So he's specifically talking about the Americans throughout the Americas. All right. So hopefully that answers your question. This is for us to relink back in with our forefathers whom we had been disconnected from on paper and through social coercion, social programming. We have been disconnected from our ancestors and stripped of our divine creed and nationality. So we're returning to that. So technically, you're from Morocco. You're Moroccan, right? Now, if you have American citizenship, you're a Moroccan American. There's actually a Moroccan American Association here in Columbus, Ohio, right? But you have a nationality. You have your line of descent. That stuff didn't get stripped from you. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't join the temple, right? But understand that in joining the temple, you will be coming into our tribe. This is what the prophet actually did back in the day when there were other Asiatic people from different parts of the world that wanted to join the temple, right? They're being adopted into our tribe. But remember, you didn't get stripped of your nationality. You can be a well-wisher or assist and work with us. You don't have to join the temple to do that. But if you did want to join the temple, you would be getting adopted into our tribe. If we look back at chapter 45, the divine origin of the Asiatic nations, we have all of these people that are Asiatic. The Egyptians, who were the Hammatites, direct descendants of Mizraim, the Arabians, the seed of Hagar, even the Japanese and the Chinese, the Hindus of India, the descendants of the ancient Canaanites, Hittites, Moabites, and Moabites of the land of Canaan. Then, of course, North, South, Central America, right? Brazilians, Argentina, all of these people, Colombians, it goes on and on. Even the Turks, right? The true descendants of Hagar. Okay, so all of these people are Asiatic. So yes, more than likely, if you're from Morocco, more than likely you Asiatic. If you want to join the temple, you want to be adopted into our tribe, you can. But also, you could just work with and assist us, right? Assist us in what? In building up our nation. You don't have to join the temple to do that, but you do have that line of descent. You didn't go through that slave making process, right? So just making sure that's understood. Hopefully that makes sense. Brothers, if I'm incorrect or if I'm in error, please feel free to correct me, right? I'm not sitting up and saying that I know everything, but that's my interpretation of studying the prophet, right? And just wanted to put that out there too, because I know that may be confusing to people, especially you're from Morocco, you're from, Algeria, you're wondering what we even doing here, right? We're not saying that we're from Morocco, even though many of us may have lineage through there or may have ancestors who passed through there at one point in time. We're looking at Morocco in a non-restrictive state, saying that the Moroccan Empire expanded, right? At one point in time, it was centered in Spain. Al-Andalus is what it was called at that time. So we're tapping back into that, something that predates the modern day nation state of Morocco. So hopefully that also clears that up for that person who had that question, right? And going back to we take on Christian names. We already addressed that. We descend from the creators of civilization, man. Right? Not saying go on and take on the Chinese name and put an L or Bay on. I'm not saying go on and do all that, but look, this links you back into your forefathers direct, your parents, your grandparents, right? And at the end of the day, we created all that. So that's not the slave label. The slave label is Negro, black, and colored. And if you want to change your whole entire name, go ahead and do that. There's no knock to that. I'm just saying that the prophet said we don't have to. And the prophet also let it be known we do in compound interest. Okay? So we're not trying to, mess any of that up or cause any confusion. Just putting that out there though. There's no compulsion in Islam or Islamism. People are free to do whatever they want. There's no knock to that. So on that note though, I think there was one more question from the sister. I'm trying to go back to the chat. I said I would get to it. The sister asked a question about what are the Moors supposed to do. Let me pull that up. Okay. We're gonna get to it. I believe that sister's still in here, so we're gonna get to your question. Okay. Hang on one second. All right. Did any of you Moors have anything else that you'd like to chime in though? As we go into the closing of this broadcast.
Islam. It's the more Sparks Bay again. I just want the camel back on you more, Douglas Hill, from reading Act 6 of the Divine Constitution and Bylaws to clarify with the Moroccan more that's in the group. You finished off by saying, and we know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. What that simply means in this era of time, the name Moabite is an ancient term that ones don't use to connect themselves back to their ancestry. So our modern term is Moorish American, giving homage, meaning we give homage to that ancestral lineage. And the prophet gives example, the camel back again, of chapter 25, the holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. He say, ayat 1, he say, you are the children of one father, provided by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given thee you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, and peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all, and your love to each other. When the prophet gave us this instruction, he was showing us that even from our ancestral lineage, that the Moroccans that are still here, they still have that level of race pride as to why when Moroccans come here to America, and like you were saying about the Moroccan consulate out there in Ohio, they also have one in California. And when these Moroccans come out here, they get a Moorish greeting, and it's up to them on whether or not they want to make their shahada or their pilgrimage when they're paying honor and respect to what's being literally, I'm not going to say copied, but relived in the modern day and time. You got to remember, Morocco got the old ancient forefathers. We don't. We trying to connect ourselves back to those forefathers. And by this being a new era of time, we do that by giving honor to our ancient forefathers and foremothers' divine creed and principles. It's simply honor. So when you have a Moroccan and a Moorish American in the same room, that's saying we honor each other's ancestral lineage, because they lineage, they can connect themselves back to, in our lineage we can't. We had a prophet bring it back to us. So if that further clarifies the brother understanding, I yield the floor and say peace and love.
Islam, brother. Islam and gratitude. And so, like, from listening to what you're saying, and I think it's not really, it's not like something that somebody from Morocco needs to do, because they already have that connection. You know, like they could join the temple, right? They're Asiatic, but they already have that connection. We could still work together. Let's just work together as brothers or brothers and sisters, right? Because as you said, we specifically, the things that we've gone through over time with that Act 6, we're linking back in. We had a prophet come and relink us back into that lineage. So it's not even necessarily, um, as necessary for other people who haven't gone through that process to do this. And that's also why I was speaking that, there's so many people, like, of course, they've been saying we 40 million strong here for decades, so ain't no telling how many of us it really is. But when you go to a place like Brazil, there's so many people of African descent there. A lot, way more than here. And they actually, had the same system, right? With the slavery and all that stuff. You go to these places like Jamaica, right? These other places that are heavily melanated, they also had that same process. And so when you think about it, this is why when the prophets mentioned in all these places, North, South, Central America, they all eventually need to have these temples as well, you know? But then for people from other places that didn't go through that process, they don't really need to, come into the temple necessarily to come in and join and, relink back in with the ancestors. They already have that. Islam. So I see the sister in the chat ducking those skittles. Brother, how should a more woman or man behave? Let's go to the Quran, right? The Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Um Now, when we're saying like behave, conduct themselves, just in general, um we live, or we want to make sure that we're living and guiding our thoughts, deeds, and actions by the 5 divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. But if you're talking about the process of courting, mating, which is a huge deal for us, right? Like, it's a big part of our life, right? We actually have instructions, right? You have chapter 22. You have a duty of a husband. Take unto thyself a wife and obey the ordinance of Allah. Take unto thyself a wife and become a faithful member of society, right? But examine with care and fix not suddenly. On thy present choice depends thy future happiness. So we're not supposed to be out here trying to run through all the women. So we have to do the opposite of what's being pushed on us, what's being pressed on us through pop culture, through rap music, right? Through all of this stuff. It's trying to make us be savage beasts, savage animals. With, Moors is supposed to be the opposite. We're supposed to be really careful about the woman that we choose. And if this is what's being instructed to a grown man, it's the same for a woman. On thy present choice depends thy future happiness. So you're not out here trying to get with somebody because he got tattoos and you like tattoos, or because she's got like fake body parts, right? We're not doing that. That future happiness depends on this. This is a big deal. It's a huge decision for us. It's a huge part of our life. If much of her time is destroyed in dress and adornment, right? She's wasting all this time and all fake eyelashes. I'm not knocking you, if women have fake eyelashes. I don't care what you do. I'm just saying, like, if you wasting all of this time on these, accessories, adornments, how you dress and trying to keep up with the trends, right? These are things that obviously it says duty of a husband, but this applies to both of us. This is telling the men what to watch out for, and also it's telling the women how not to be. Don't be like this, right? If she is enamored with her own beauty and delighted with her own praise, right? And nowadays that's what a lot of people do, right? You want to be, you want to get all the likes and attention online, on the, the clicks and the the social media stuff, right? And you delighted with your own praise. Ooh, he, commented. Everybody's commenting on you, right? If she laugheth much and talketh loud, we had that too. right? Especially in the hood, talking all loud and being ignorant out there. So so this might not even be an issue for you because you know better. But for a lot of us, like we not getting this insight, this wisdom from our elders because of we've already been indoctrinated into this. So we're not getting the wisdom from the elders. So for the prophet, it's like we're all his children. He's talking to us. He's giving us advice, right? We don't even have, maybe parents or grandparents to tell us this. If her foot abideth not in her father's house, and her eyes with boldness rove on the faces of men, though her beauty wears the sun in the firmament of heaven, turn thy face from her charms, turn thy feet from her path, and suffer not thy soul to be ensnared by the allurements of imagination. Right? So we're taught to be sensible, to be, to be more wise and intelligent with the opposite sex that we choose in, right? Right. Trust thy secrets in her breast. Her counsels are sincere. Thou shalt not be deceived. This is what we're looking for, right? So, um, just sharing this. If you don't have the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America, I can send you the link to it, right? But I would advise reading these chapters. I'm not going to go through and read the whole thing. We already been on here over 2 hours, but chapter 22, read chapter 23, right? Chapter 24. Read these chapters that are dealing with our earthly salvation, like what to do, marriage instructions for man and wife from the noble prophet, right? And internalize this, right? And when you read this and when you see this, like, no, this is not an attack on us. It's not an attack on any of us, how we act and conduct ourselves, but do understand that what is the mainstream thought process is savagery. It's totally the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing for our earthly and divine salvation. As the brother Arnil Bay said, the Sheik, mothers and grandmothers today aren't like they were in the 80s, right? A lot of our parents were listening to Tupac. Not saying anything wrong, listen to Tupac too, but I'm just saying things have changed, right? And as the sister saying, like, she's not out here all, showing her body and being all, disrespectful, right? Well, guess what? A lot of people are. They think that's cool. So if you don't think like that, you're a diamond in the rough. You're like, you know, way beyond your peers. Stay the right course. And for anyone else out there that's watching this, know that this is how Moors are supposed to be. As the sister said, how the Moorish men and women supposed to be. We're supposed to be upright, independent, and fearless. Upright, meaning we work to do what is right. We really do strive to make sure our thoughts, deeds, and actions line up with those divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And Islam, we are about to shut things down. It's been a while. But you know, that's what we're about. Really cleaning ourselves up, because returning to the ways of our ancestors means actually coming in and being ourselves when we were the creators of civilization. Actually picking ourselves, cleaning ourselves up to be the greatest version of ourselves possible. Okay? And that's real. And that's what we're here to do. So you know what, we're gonna go ahead and close things out. Brother El Rahim, brother Sparks Bay, do you Moors have anything you would like to say in closing?
No, sir. I think that everything that really needed to be said this evening has been said, and I'm with you 100%, my brother.
Islam.
Right, Islam Moors, I appreciate you all. Everybody that was watching this, make sure you hit the like and share button. We're gonna go ahead and shut this down. It's been a
Okay.
pleasure having you
Been a
all on
pleasure.
here.
Yes,
Appreciate you
sir.
Moors, all of you. Peace and love.
Peace and love, brother.
Right.